It's 2025, the first podcast shoot of the year. Really excited to introduce one of the top producing, best real estate agents that I've ever had the opportunity to work with, Chakits Krulsawat. Yeah, my guy is here. Can you share a memorable moment where a lender saved or made a deal happen for you?
Well, you've done a lot. There's times where you gave me a deal. Can we swear in this thing?
You can do whatever you want, my friend.
That was out in fucking Gene for $50,000. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't, but that'd be definitely something I have to kind of think about and recap on. and the wildest thing you've ever seen in a house showing.
Somebody about to die and pass away.
Thank you for your time today, Chakits. How are you doing today?
I'm actually doing really, really good. What's cracking, man?
You know, it's January. It's got a little breeze, and the snow won't come fast enough. I'm ready to go snowboarding.
I've noticed that. You love snowboarding.
Yeah, you got to chase snow, but it fits me. You know, Nieves, snow. So I always say it kind of fits my spirit.
So talking about snowboarding, where do you go snowboarding at?
Wherever the snow is. But my favorite mountain in all of North America is going to be Snowbird.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Snowbird is also better than Whistler. I've been as far as Japan to go snowboarding.
You actually went to Japan to go snowboarding?
Just to go snowboarding.
That's diehard right there.
And then I've got a plan to make it to Chile this year, to Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
Huge, going to be beautiful. Portillo, excuse me. And that's going to be in July. So it's winter there. Why it's summer here. So I think I might go chase some snow in July if everything works out great. You
know, talking about snowboarding, I've always wanted to try this, right? So every winter, I always tell myself, go on like Craigslist, buy a snowboard, which is, I'll look through it. And I never get around to do it. And I guess the question I have for you is like, if I want to go snowboarding for the first time, where do I actually go snowboarding? Can I go up to Mount Charleston?
I think Lake Canyon's great. You can leave your house, be there in about 45 minutes, enjoy the day, and drive back home and be at home in time for dinner. That's a great opportunity, a great starter hill. Also, I think 3 hours north, if you want to get out of the city life and get a couple of days, get a break, really feel the mountain vibe, really be able to recharge, because the mountain brings just a special inertia to your body and to your brain. I think Brian Head's a great location to start. That's where I first started snowboarding when I was skiing when I was 3 years old. However, I would not go on Craigslist and buy a snowboard. I would just go to the rental spot and ask them to rent the best demo board available. So in a sense, you're getting to rent the top boards that they have available for this year that have the rocker, the camber, all those good features that are going to help you have fun on the snow. I would think that a lot of the snowboards that are sold on Craigslist could be out of date.
Yeah,
maybe
but
something.
I've never done it before, but
So
you know how it works.
So you could go rent the board and then see if you like it and then drop the board off that day, and you're not stuck with a bunch of equipment that you might never use again.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The equipment that you're buying, right, is the same amount of what you would have rented it for, but now you have the equipment.
Fair.
If you do get into it, right?
Well, then just go to Powder and Sun and buy a brand new board, brand new bindings, and brand new boots that no one's ever put their feet in, and now it's yours.
I guess you make a good point.
I mean, are you going to buy a used Gucci shirt or used Gucci tennis shoes?
Would I? The answer is probably no.
Okay, then.
But a board, yes. I'm just not into it, so.
So, well, I'm really excited to have the opportunity to meet with you. One, I just really want to highlight a couple of things in today's market that I think is really great. Chakits, you know, you really have defined yourself as being one of the top experts in the business. I watched you enter into this business. I watched you grow. We're going to touch base on that here shortly. Yeah. I think it's important to talk about your roots and where you're from and what your visions are. And so, but before we get into that, I'm just really curious. What's one thing that you enjoy outside of real estate that might surprise your clients?
That's a very good question. Since I've been in the business, I didn't really have any hobbies other than real estate and running a business. And I finally started to get into things. I don't know if this is something where you get a little bit older, you start to realize that you got to enjoy your life, right? So there's a couple things I want to break down. I'm into, number one, watches. What else am I into? Fitness. Okay. And now I literally got into cars.
Okay. Now, what type of watches are you into?
Luxury watches, basically.
Okay.
So I do have a few of collections, but the watches I have, these are watches that I enjoy, right?
And so what's the watch you have on today? Let's talk about that one for a second.
Okay, so
what's so special about this watch?
Well, number one is because I like gold as an Asian person, right? Gold is like, I guess, good luck, but you know, it's an Asian thing. So this is a presidential day date with a diamond bezel, and it is a champagne dial. It's a day date presidential watch.
And so what year did you buy that?
I think I bought this like maybe 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago.
Okay.
But believe it or not, to get this watch, it took me about a year to get this watch. So you had to play the watch game. So when you get into the watch game, it's completely different. So it's not like you can go to a Rolex store and say, hey, I want to buy this watch. It doesn't work that way. Number one, you got to build a relationship with that salesperson. Also, depending that salesperson, how much, I guess what I'm trying to say is that salesperson, how high are they on the tier bracket? Because it's all about who you know, and it's all about the connections, right? So if you're working with a top salesperson that's working with the sales manager, once Rolex delivers these type of watches to that store, you know, that manager calls the shots and says who gets what watch, right? So you really have to build those relationships with these people.
Love it. So you actually made friends with people to buy a watch.
Well, I bought my way in, basically.
Oh, so it was like, here's a little bit of a tip.
So
keep me in mind for the next watch.
So this is the game. So I walked in, and basically I built a relationship, but I had to get connected through one of my clients that actually sells luxury watches. But she sells luxury watches with a different company, different brand. But she knew that, you know, I have a passion for a Rolex watch. That's one of the watches that I wanted to get. So she had to connect me with this gentleman. But before I even went in, she told me this. This is the only way that you can get this watch. Number one, he's got to like you. If he likes you, he'll do business with you. So I had to be prepared. So, you know, once I met up with that guy, we really clicked. He knew that I was really into watches, and he was like, hey, I want to help you out. But then you had to play this game where you would have to buy a certain type of watch, right? An entry-level watch that's like 10 grand to move on up to a different watch that you want. But I wasn't going to play that game. So what I did was I had a company, which is a VIP service company, give a shout out to Gift Lux, that I actually delivered a package to them, right? So once they got that package, they were like, yo, this guy sent me like a gift package, right? So I'm setting myself apart from others. But I would also constantly follow up as well, like every month, to see what's going on until a watch came in, and basically he'd ask, hey, do you like this watch? I'm like, no, because my first watch, and this was the first watch, this is the watch I wanted, because I knew that if I was going to spend money on a watch, I want to get the watch that I want. And the reason why I wanted this watch was because of all the time and effort that I put into this, right? It had to mean something. And I never thought I could even get a watch like this, right? But once I got it, man, I sat down with this guy, and the first thing he told me, he goes, look, nobody can't just get this watch, right? You got to go through these levels. And typically people that get into the luxury watch game, especially Rolex, they did a full analysis with the Rolex company with all their clients, and they looked at their clients and they started seeing a pattern that when you start to get into the luxury watch, people start off an entry watch at $10,000. They make a little bit more money, then they go to $20,000. This, I skipped that. I went straight to the end. So I got the top tier watch that I could get.
That's amazing.
Right? But you got to play the game. It's all about building relationships. It's all about who you know. And that's the game.
And I heard a key word in that, which I think kind of applies to a little bit of your career.
Yeah. What is it?
You had to set yourself apart.
Yes.
I think that's something that you've really, I've watched you do in real estate, set yourself apart differently. And we'll pick up on that here shortly. I actually love that. So thank you for sharing that. Honestly, I'm kind of a Breitling guy, and Breitling came out before Rolex. So I don't know how you feel about that, but Breitling is really the true crown gold, the true crown of
yeah,
watch
if you like
game.
to fly.
But hey, potato, to each their own.
Yeah.
And I love your Rolex. It's a beautiful watch. So picking up, we just established we've been knowing each other for 15 years. I couldn't believe that. That's amazing. And I kind of know a little bit of this, but I think it's great for people to hear your story. And you've probably told it over and over again. However, what first inspired you to jump into real estate? And was it something that you always wanted to do, or did it just fall into place?
No. So basically, when I was detailing cars at that time.
Whoa. Detailing cars, or when you were the luxury car detailer of Las Vegas?
Look, I don't want to say the luxury.
Okay.
I was just detailing cars, and the reason why I got into that business, and I'm going to just kind of jump back a little bit, and I tell this story all the time, so I'll make it quick. So I got into detailing cars because I only had a few $1,000s. I wasn't making that kind of money, but I knew I had to start a business and I had to get into sales, right? Because that was going to force me to sell. But, with about $3,000 to $5,000, what business could I actually get into where I can create my own hours and learn the sales? I figured, hey, mobile detailing, best way. So as I was detailing cars, back then we didn't have like iPhones and all that stuff, right? We had the MP3 players. So what I would do is download like financial wealth creations, right? Just like, podcasts that they had back then, but you would have to download it. So I would listen to all these money managers, and they would always talk about how wealthy people actually had real estate as a portfolio. It wasn't their, full portfolio of all their assets. It was just one set of assets that they had in their portfolio. And that's all I would hear from one interview to another. So I was like, you know what? I think this is the key. I want to get into real estate. And that's where I met up with Daryl Hannah. Daryl Hannah had introduced me to you, and that's where we got the loan. So it was you and Daryl Hannah that helped me out with the first purchase.
And then all of a sudden, this blew my mind.
Yeah.
You called me and you're like, I sold my business. I'm getting into real estate. And I'm going to make this work. And you went and worked with Daryl Hannah. Shout out to Daryl Hannah, amazing person. Really such a foundation of my business and yours as well.
Yeah, he played a key role in my life, honestly, man. He really helped me get in
as well. You just jumped on in and dove in, and then but you went all in. You sold your business and said, if this is real estate, I can do it better.
Yeah.
And that was remarkable. And then I remember your first couple of YouTube videos were like luxury tours with some trance music or some house music. And but you kept doing it. And then it enhanced. And I think that your consistency really stayed true to that. And then you moved about 6 months into your career, I believe, right?
What do you
Simply
mean?
Vegas?
No, so I think the original company was Meridius Realty at that time. I think I was there about 6 months. Then I transferred over to KW, which is a great company, right? If you're just learning about the business. But then once you figure out the business, it's now how do we make more money, right? As an agent, where do you best fit in? So probably maybe about a year after KW, once Simply Vegas has been established here in Henderson and they opened their office, that's when I came on over.
Absolutely. And a little bit, shout out to John Gafford, the owner, partner of Simply Vegas. What the funny thing was that he was actually trying to open up the KW office at this location. And Gary Keller told him no. Bad move, Gary. And he ended up saying fine. And he got out of the Keller Williams partnership and opened up Simply Vegas here. And here you guys are. You moved here, is it 13 years ago now? 14 years ago?
Yeah, 13 or 14. We've been here for a very long time. I remember this whole office was completely open. And John was sitting over here at the corner of this office building. And we could literally see each other. It was just me, him, and I think it was Julie Youngblood at that time. And they were literally putting up walls, cables. So I'm going to say I was one of the first guys here.
And you haven't moved, which is an anomaly. Like, so many real estate agents just jump to the next brand, They make it a thing about posting like, I just moved to this new brand. And it's like, but you've stayed put and you've done one thing, focus on real estate and your clients and just doing what we're supposed to be doing. And that's getting people home.
I think this is important, like, especially like if you're a new agent, right? You really have to find out where you really fit in what your needs and what your wants are, right? That's very important. And do you actually mesh with the company that you're hanging your license with? Like KEW, it's a great company if you're first started, but it's such a corporate office where I felt like I had my hands cuffed, right? Every type of marketing that you do, it always had to be, you know, KW. So you're really not branding yourself. But I realize here at Simply Vegas, it's like, they don't care about branding Simply Vegas. They're making money regardless, with you or without you. They want you to go out and brand yourself. And that's what I needed. I needed a company that would allow me to brand myself, because that's what real estate is about, right? Absolutely. People need to know who you are and what you do. And that was very important to me. And, you know, John's a good guy, man. He's been loyal to me. So it's like, I got to be loyal to him. You know what I mean?
Love that. John Gafford's amazing. And something I love about Simply Vegas is that it was built on the focus of doing of having a smaller staff, but doing bigger numbers. Yeah. And so for a lot of years, and it might still be true, you guys always had a higher sales point. Like it's almost you focused on the higher level of real estate than what the other more real estate shops. So it really, again, sets you apart as being more of a luxury agent, someone that's more to the lifestyle client versus maybe like an entry level. Even though you guys will work with anybody, I know you'll help anybody get home. You don't care how big the deal is, how small the deal is. A deal's a deal, right? And that brings me to my next question. Do you remember your first deal, and was it smooth or was it a wild ride?
Shit. You know what? I don't think I remember. You know what? Maybe the first deal was with Daryl Hannah. It was actually his lead. And I think he went out of town. He was like, hey, handle it. It was such a small deal, but I didn't even care. Like, I wasn't making that much money. I was just so appreciative that I could quit the mobile detailing business and just even have a career in real estate. Like, that's all I cared about. Like, I just wanted to make a living that I actually had a good career, right? And I remember that first deal. I think it was like a couple $1,000, or maybe it wasn't even a couple thousand. I think it was like $900. But you got to remember, when I got into the business, this is like at the end of 2009. This is when the market had already like plummet. As agents were, you know, leaving, right? I was going in. And this is when we had over like 18,000 properties on the market. It was crazy.
Cut your teeth at one of the most difficult times.
Oh, yeah.
You came in with the attitude that I'm going to close.
But this is one thing that I've learned. The owner of Meridius Realty Group at that time, Michael Hutchins, I always remember this, okay? This is what he had told me. He goes, look, if you can make it through this downturn when the market is hot, you're going to crush it. I've always remembered that. And that day, he hands me a fucking book. Can we swear on this thing?
You can do whatever you want, my friend.
He hands me a book and he goes, make these fucking calls. I was like, I don't even know what the hell I'm going to say or do. Just make the calls. It's getting shut down. But what happens is you start to build that muscle, right? You start to learn more and more and more. And over time, you just grow. So that was the best thing that ever happened to me.
And I find it really interesting because you came into the market when the market had reset. So we had rolled back to 1987 prices. You could have bought a house in 2011 for $118,000. And fast forward 2021, 2022, that same house sold for $430,000.
I know, it's crazy.
So that $118,000, you know, sale was a $3,600 paycheck for you. Mm-hmm. Now it's a $12,000 paycheck for you, not to count your money, just based off of the normal commissions for real estate agents. And there's a lot of money that invests to that. I mean, you have full-time employees, so it's not like you're getting that money. However, just such a difference of you got in at a low point, but you watched the market grow, and there came your raise in a sense. So what a beautiful thing. Really love that. Now, we're going to move into a little bit of fun, if that's okay. And we're going to just kind of really dive into some dynamics that could be of value to some future home buyers or sellers. And I think that there are going to be some great questions that you can really bring to market, some great thoughts and potential help for people to make a decision to get off the fence or why they should be in Nevada. So I'm just going to kick off the first question. For buyers out of state, what's essential to know about Nevada's market right now?
Well, there's a lot to know about the Las Vegas housing market because I'm going to say 95% of my clients are all out-of-state buyers, right? The most important thing is location, right? What does Las Vegas really have to offer? Because a lot of people are like, all I see in Las Vegas is casino and gambling. There's so much other more things, okay? If we take a look at the population growth here, we have over about 90,000 people moving here every single year. We're growing very dramatically. The question is why? Because if we look at the migration patterns throughout the United States, this is actually going to be the third largest country, or I'm sorry, not the country, but the metropolitan area where people are moving to. Why? Is because of the cost of living is still low, okay? Here, right, you don't have to pay as much as taxes in other states, right? The other thing is that this is such a new metropolitan area. You have options as far as what's available for housing. The cost of living is completely tremendously low, but not compared to 2011, right? But if we just take a look, food, entertainment, just the savings, how far your money can go. If you take a look at from people from California, there's tons of them that are just migrating out here. The weather, there's so much that they have to offer. And if we take a look at the housing market, right, and we see what's going on and what you can buy compared to other cities, at $485,000, which is the median price point for a home, you get roughly about 1,800 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a 2-car garage. And if you can buy that brand new, right, and if you can get the right interest payments in today's market where you're having the seller to pay down and buy down points, dude, you can get a pretty decent home. And if you're comparing that home to other homes around the city or other metropolitan areas, people are moving out here like crazy.
And that's a great point. I always say that Las Vegas is really the discount for real estate for the best city. I mean, if you look at that same home you just quoted, and you went to LA, how much is that sales price going to be?
That I'm not too sure, but
about $900,000.
But I can give you an example. Like I was in Hawaii, we were looking at a condo. A condo starts off for a 1-bedroom, $875,000. HOAs are about $900 a month. That is unbelievable. So if you take a look within that metropolitan area, the average household income in Hawaii is only about $60,000. At $60,000, you cannot afford to live there. But if you made that kind of money here, you could afford to live here, right? So that's why you see a lot of those people migrating from out there to here, from one city to another here. It's just unbelievable. There's so much different opportunities. Look, I understand home pricing continues to go up. I think the problem now is that we're like so used to like pricing 3, 4, 5 years ago, and we're always constantly comparing those prices to now, and everybody's like, it's expensive. Yes, if you're comparing it to that, but what are you really comparing it to? Are you comparing to are you comparing it to where you live? Because if you compare it to where you live, here's it will always be cheaper still. But eventually we will get to home pricing where it really supersedes, the average household income, and we're about to reach that pretty soon. So,
yeah, and I think honestly, now having such national professional teams here,
yeah,
not having state tax here, and then now we're gonna put in a high-speed train that connects us to California and to Salt Lake. What do you think about the Brightline Express train that's supposed to be opening up in 2028?
Okay. My honest opinion, I think it's going to be great as far as like tourism and stuff like that. But then I just don't like the fact that where people can actually come in for a day and leave, come in the morning and leave at night. I feel that depending on where the area is, which is going to be the 15 and Blue Diamond, which is where I live, it's going to be very transient. What I'm worried about is honestly, you can have people come out here, commit crimes, and leave. That's the downfall. Okay?
Now, the upside that
you're going to be bringing in some money.
The upside is that we pull these remote workers that are living in LA that are spending this fortune that have to report into work once or twice a month. They're going to move here. They're going to fill in that whole area around the 89123, 89139 area you're talking about, Blue Diamond and I-15. And they're going to buy and invest here, and then they're going to get on that train and go into their job for the day and come back in a reverse. So we're going to have a lot more people here, which means that we're going to have more population, more driven prices going up. And I really think it's not about timing the market. It's about time in the market.
Yeah.
So, when you're looking at like, oh, well, the price is 5 years ago. Well, if you look at decade after decade after decade, Las Vegas has doubled or tripled every single year for 70 years, except for the Great Reset. So
yeah,
I really think that we're going to continue to grow. Did you hear recently that they're going to finish the 215 circle? They're literally going to bring it from the Speedway and wrap it around into Henderson.
How are they going to do that though? That's crazy.
I had the same question. I haven't seen the plans, but it's literally in the works. I was told in 1992, my stepfather took me out to behind Angel Park.
Yeah.
He worked for Nevada Power. He's a legendary lineman, amazing person, Barry Willis. A lot of people still know him in Nevada Power. And he literally took me out to the desert. And he was like, you see this gully right here? This is going to be a 215 freeway. And it's going to wrap all the way around the city. And I was like, didn't think nothing. I was, barely heading into high school.
Yeah.
And then the 215 was built when I was in high school, and it kind of stopped. It got to the Speedway, and it even stopped, at Lone Mountain, and it took them years to have that expansion. But I just think it'd be amazing to have like a loop around the city. The 215 as a loop is how I see that, and that's just going to connect even more of that part of town that may be not as desirable as other areas. And so I'm kind of really curious what that does to the demographic.
You could definitely jump on that 95. However, if they did do that, I feel sorry for all those people that own those homes, because it's coming, eminent domain. Basically, hey, we need this, so we're going to give you a price. You take it, or we're taking it.
So, I came across a gentleman that owned a condo behind the MGM, and the city came in and eminent domained him, but he had bought it for like $50,000, and they gave him like $700,000. It was ridiculous. So they gave him some weird number, $500,000. So not always a bad thing, but definitely you have to find a place. So to be continued on that, but there's going to be definitely more growth, and I think that's huge, and it's going to connect a part of town that's kind of disconnected. The east side of town where the sun rises. And so I think it's going to bring a lot of good. But I just didn't know if you knew about those. And I think that I always focus on Vegas made one mistake. We don't have mass transit.
Yeah. But I want to jump back for a second regarding that bullet train that we're talking about. It's called the Bright Link, right? Or something? Bright Line. Okay. So I guess my question to you is, you mentioned that you're going to have some people that buy investment properties, right? So one of the issues that I always run across... primary. Can they actually buy a primary but still work in California? Because I know some type of loans, right?
As long as you're a remote employee.
Okay.
Or you can get documentation that you're a partial remote employee and that you can work and live in any state you choose, then yes, you could technically buy here as a primary and take the train and report to work that one or twice a month that you have to possibly. And here, but think about it. You're living in LA. And you're spending, or San Francisco or San Diego, and that's just the ones that are close to us. But you're living in California and you have $150,000 a year remote job, give or take, and you're spending $3,000, $3,500 a month in rent for maybe a 2-bedroom, and you're still going to the laundromat to do your laundry because they didn't happen to have any laundry there, or they don't have air conditioning, and now you're paying upwards of $15,000, $20,000 in state taxes, whereas you can literally move to Nevada and own a house for that much that you're renting. I had a guy that moved here, bought a house from me, really great guy. He was in San Francisco, and he laughed because he bought a $740,000 house for 3% down.
Okay.
And he said, what's funny is I'm paying $1,000 a month more than what I was paying there, but my laundry room is the size of my master bedroom.
Oh, wow.
And he says, and now I have a pool, and now I have a 3-car garage. And that's the difference of the lifestyle. You go from this box of renting of no wealth gain to coming out here and being able to have the dream of home ownership and being able to have the opportunity to build wealth for yourself and for generations to come versus, someone else that's just taking that collection.
I mean, you make a good point, because there's some clients I work with in California, right? Say if you make $1 million, okay? How much do you think you're actually getting taxed, right, in California if you made $1 million? honestly.
150 to 200,000 just for the state. Plus you have to pay the IRS.
So let's just say about 35%.
35 to 40%.
Okay. So that's about $350,000 a year. Let's just say, make the math very simple. That's about $30,000 a month. Let's just say, right? So if you're making $1 million a year at $30,000 a month, you might as well just retransition out here. To subsidize that, you're taking that $30,000 that you would have spent anyway with all that bullshit taxes. You can literally afford a monthly payment up to $30,000. It's like, give it to Uncle Sam, give it to the state, or you might as well just put it into the house. And basically, you're getting the house for free if you think about it that way.
It's a really great way to look at it. And I think you know where these secret houses are that are $30,000 a month, some of the higher end neighborhoods that are coming on board. So I think you would be the person to talk to for that luxury market.
Now, here's the thing. Oh, yeah, I definitely can help you with everything, but I also want the viewers to understand is that I don't only work with a luxury, right? The process is all the same. No matter if you're buying a $500,000 home, if you buy a $2 million home or a $5 million home. Now, there's times where you gave me a fucking deal that was out in fucking Gene for $50,000 fucking dollars. And this was back in like 2011. And I think that commission check at that time was $1,200, but I didn't care. We still did the deal. It was about just doing that deal. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't, but I love your attitude about getting deals done. And I've done so many deals, but that'd be definitely something I have to kind of think about and recap on. And that brings me to another question of like, what's one recurring mistake that you see buyers make in this fast-paced market every single day and you'd like to see them stop making?
Okay, so I think the most important thing is actually finding the right agent, because I probably get about 5 to 8 calls a year where they're currently under contract with an agent that, you know, they went out, looked at homes, they went under contract, and now they're stuck with that agent and they can't get out of that deal, right? Especially with the new homes. Matter of fact, I just had one 4 days ago. She didn't like the agent, but they were under contract. She couldn't back out. She was going to lose $50,000, but she really liked the house, but she felt like the agent didn't represent her correctly, or the agent has no clue of how to negotiate the deal. And I said, look, do you like the home? She was like, yes. And I said, look, unfortunately, you're in a bad situation, but if you like the home, buy the home. And she bought the home, and we had a consultation a couple days ago because now she came across some money, and we're going to create a real estate portfolio for her, right? So that's what I get all the time. So if you're an agent out there, you really got to understand what's going on, because at the end of the day, your job is to really represent and also educate the buyers. But also when you're educating the buyers, let the buyers take charge. They're the boss. My job is not to tell you what to do. My job is to tell you how things work, but you got to let me know which direction you want to go. It's like when we hit a crossroad, you can only go left or right. And that's what I tell my clients. But I'm going to tell you the pros and cons if you go left or right. You just got to let me know which direction.
Love that. And so if you could give one standout tip for buyers to get ahead, what would that be right now?
That is a very good question. I mean, I have a lot. Let me think about this. Ask that question again.
If you could give one standout tip for buyers to get ahead, what would that be?
Okay, so if you're a buyer in today's market, this is what I would do, okay? In today's market here in Las Vegas, believe it or not, we are in a buyer's market, okay?
What is a buyer's market?
So basically, a buyer's market means that the buyer has control of the situation. It's not like panic buy, right? Where you have to go out and you got to buy a home right away. So buyers can take the time. Let's just say if you're approved for $500,000, $600,000, there's tons of homes out there. So before you make that type of commitment, you need to make sure this is the home that you really want. So before, you know, when the market was high, it was popping off, like, you know, you waive appraisals, home inspections, and all this just to get into a home. You no longer need to do that. You have more control. You can ask more for closing costs. And now the sellers have to be a little bit more lenient and give up these concessions in order to sell their home, right?
So you mean a seller will give a concession? What a concession would be, like a monetary credit to the buyer to purchase the house?
Sometimes, not all the time. It could be for a form of a price reduction, or we include this into the home, or we can fix the home. to make you happy, right?
Yep.
But I mean, obviously, in today's market, I can tell you right now, typically you can get roughly about 3% towards closing costs. If you went into the new homes, we can definitely extract the closing costs and negotiate the buy down rate too as well. So it's going to be a case by case basis. But like I said, for buyers in today's market, just take your time. Just make sure that's the right house that you want, because the last thing that you want to do is buy a home because of fear mongering. Next thing you know, you're into the home. You're like, dude, this is not the home I really want.
I love that. And I mean, honestly, I'm a big fan of asking for closing costs versus cutting price. However, based on if the comps are in the neighborhood, but let's just say you're buying a $500,000 house and the comps are there. Chakits is like, this is a great valued house. It's listed right. Rather than coming in and cutting the price to $485 and getting no closing costs, it's better to keep that $500,000 and get the $15,000 towards closing, because now you supported the whole neighborhood. As a lender, I don't want to see that we're always cutting prices on the listings. However, if you have the right value, because some houses are overpriced in the market and some people want to get a certain number, and sometimes I'll see like, why'd you list this house for $560? And the listing agent will say, well, the seller wouldn't sign it otherwise, but it's only worth $505. And then so you're gonna be 40, 60 days on the market. You're gonna be delaying that closing. However, I'm a big fan of asking for closing costs versus cutting price. And then I kind of want to jump in and bust a myth right now.
Yeah.
And this is a new myth to the market. How many of your buyers, since the law change of that the NAR or the government has changed regarding commissions, how many of your buyers have had to pay their own commissions since this change, or are the seller still paying your commissions as a buyer's agent?
None of them.
None of the buyers have had to do that.
No.
But you have a buyer agency that signed a buyer agency agreement. And you know what's really funny? I saw the other day, and I won't mention any names. You actually know the agent. I saw 3. So you get an offer on your listing.
Yeah.
$1.6 million offer. And the buyer's agent that brought you this offer, it's on the market for over 70 days, asked for 3%. And then instead of countering anything else on the offer, they went back and forth 3 times over commission.
Yeah.
And to me, it's just really weird because, the listing agent wants to come in and cut the buyer's commission, but you guys are kind of partners in this deal in a sense. And it's like, why would you want to cut that person's commission that brought you the buyer, yet you're still getting the same amount? So it's really funny because now you have listing agents that are cutting buyers' commissions because of this rule change instead of just making it happen. And I think those counters could have been avoided. And I mean, do you think that it's ridiculous that we're seeing counters about real estate commissions that really have, the buyer is sitting there looking at these counters and there's nothing about the price, the closing time. It's just about the money that's being paid to the agents. And I find that as being something that's causing a stigma in the market.
Well, not only that, I feel like it makes one agent to another agent more greedy, right? Like, oh, I want this money, other than looking out for the best interests of their clients. I mean, at the end of the day, it just depends with the agent that you work with. I mean, we do a lot of volume. So if you take a look at all our buyer brokers agreement, believe it or not, it's at 4%.
Absolutely, because if you get 3 and you go to a builder and they pay you 4, you can't get the 4.
Yes, and the other thing is that if you talk to all my clients, right, and let's just say we get a counter back because we're asking for closing costs, all these additional fees, they're only paying 2.5%, but I got a buyer broker's agreement at 4%. You know what I'm doing? I'm moving fucking forward. I'm not going to sit there and negotiate that deal for another 0.5 point or 1.5 points. It doesn't make any sense for me.
And the buyer broker agreement says up to, correct?
No,
4%?
it says 4%.
Oh, you okay. So you waive the 1.5%.
Yeah, I don't care.
You're not going to collect that on them. As long as you get your 2.5 standard or average, you're great.
Look, at the end of the day, it's the best interest of my client, right? And I'm just fortunate enough that I'm not just scraping by in this business. Like I said, we're doing volume, and I tell this to my clients, right? And I explain to them, I have a deal with a lot of these builders where they're offering me 4% to get the deal done because I do a lot of volume. So I do have a little bit more perks. But if we do a resale, if it's only 2.5%, who cares? It's only 0.5 point more. It doesn't matter to me, right? So
I love that. And I just basically for buyers, don't be afraid to sign that buyer agency agreement. Don't be afraid to commit to the realtor that's working hard for you, and just know that they're going to get the seller to pay that almost every single time.
Now, I do want to say this with this buyer brokers agreement. This is important for all the buyers out there. If you sign a buyer brokers agreement, like you said, make sure, number one, the agent is qualified. Do they understand what's going on with the market, right? And number two, you got to really read through that and see how long is the term. So let me give you an idea. For us, for me, my personal buyer brokers agreement, I'm so confident in what I do. I literally have the terms on there. The agent or the buyer can cancel this agreement at any time, right? Unless under contract.
Love that.
Reason why I do that is because we can be hanging out, going out one day, and next thing you know it, you're like, you know what, let's do things this way, let's do it this way. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. And we're clashing. Then I would have to fire you as a client. And I've done that before. Okay. And also vice versa. If we go out and you realize like, you know what, this dude's not cool, you could fire me too as well. There's no commitment.
So as a loan officer, I can see a huge value in having a working relationship. But from your perspective, what do you look for in a strong lending realtor relationship?
For me, number one is communication is the key, right? You have to have that communication, because what happens is when you work with a good lender, you're not only working with that lender, right? You have the processing team, you have this whole team that you're working with. Then obviously you got to work with title and escrow. Then as an agent, you probably have your team too as well. So it's all about communication, right? Between all the teams and the buyers and the sellers. So that way everybody knows what's going on. And if something is not good on the lending side, I want the lender to let me know. So that way we're working together with the buyer to resolve the problem. How do we tackle the problem head on? And how do we resolve the problem to move forward to the next step?
I love that. And that's why I love working with you, because things are smooth. And I think our communication's at a level that's there.
Yeah.
And so then can you share a memorable moment where a lender saved or made a deal happen for you recently?
Well, I don't know. You've done a lot.
It didn't have to be me. It didn't have to be me, but I've done a couple saves for you. Thank you for that acknowledgement.
Well, I know that there was a deal that a builder couldn't pull out the deal. And matter of fact, I don't want to drop the name, but it has to do with a builder. They couldn't do the deal. I don't know why they can't do the deal, but we pass it on to you and you're like, dude, this is a slam dunk. We can get it done. And that happens all the time. So.
And those guys are great. They're some of the best clients I think I've ever got to work with you. And I think I love the most. I sent them a cutting board with their last name on it, a thank you gift. He sends me a message like, I love you so much. Thank you for getting us home. This is even more over the top. So it was really nice. And thank you for bringing me in on that. So we're going to go through a quick speed round. I need to read these real quick. We're going to wrap up here. I've had a lot of fun with you today. Thank you for your time and your knowledge. So these are going to be some quick fire questions. I want them quick. I want them short. Wildest thing you've ever seen in a house showing?
Wildest thing, somebody about to die and pass away.
Okay. And if you weren't a realtor, what career would you pursue today?
Probably online business.
Like what?
I don't know. Some sort of marketing online.
Okay. And what is the best closing gift that you've given or received in your career?
That I received or have given?
Either or. You can
okay,
make the
so
choice.
All my clients, right now we give out TVs, 65-inch flat screen TVs.
Now, and you know what? You don't just give out a TV, because I've seen this video and this was mind-blowing. You have a guy show up with these white gloves and door knock on the door, and the lady's like so mind-blown, like, what's going on? And you're like, hey, how you doing today? And they're like, this is from Chakits. And I mean, the lady, I think she cried. But this is like, that's not expected. But I mean, it's not like you're like showing up with a TV off the truck. Like you really white glove service, deliver this. And then I believe he set it up for him as well.
Yeah. So basically he does everything for me. Again, give a quick shout out to 𝐓𝐿ux. Dennis is the owner.
𝐓𝐿ux. Thank you, 𝐓𝐿ux, for doing that. It's amazing.
So
I love that. Now, this is going to catch you off guard. What's your favorite guilty pleasure TV show?
I don't watch TV.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, I don't watch TV. I don't know.
What's your favorite guilty pleasure podcast right now?
I don't watch podcasts. Don't have one.
Who's your favorite mentor to listen to gain value and knowledge?
I actually have a lot, so it's just not one person. I guess it would be Harry Dent, Mike Maloney. There's just tons of them, man.
Okay. Now we're going to wrap up here. Again, thank you so much. I had some great takeaways. Very appreciative for you for your knowledge. Encourage you to reach out to Chakits Krulsawat if you're looking to move to Las Vegas, looking to make an upgrade. If you have anything real estate related, please reach out to him. What's your number, Chakits?
702-319-1092. Or you can check us out on Instagram. But before we do this quick plug, hold on for a second. This is what I'm going to offer you guys today. This is actually a free buyer's guide. We just completed this. So if you guys want to know the steps on how to purchase a home, how to get the best loan, how to get the best deal, how to negotiate the price, look, it's all here. It's all written for free. If you guys want your copy, check out my Instagram. Click on the link on the bio. I'm going to send this on out to you for free. That's right.
I love that. And I want to read that book. So if you're a realtor or buyer and you're curious about the Nevada market, or you need some advice on securing the right loan, getting the best property, and if you're a realtor who wants to chat about market trends, let's make it happen. Reach out to us. I'm Joshua Nieves with Merit Lending. This is the end of our podcast. And if you want to reach out to me directly, I'm at 702-580-5069, or just go ahead and comment in the comments and I'll reach out to you. Thank you guys for joining in today, and hopefully you learned something new, and take care.